I found the wedding ring in her purse by accident. Not mine, someone else's. And that's when my entire world started crumbling like a sandcastle hit by a wave I never saw coming. My name is David, and I thought I knew my wife. Melissa and I had been married for 6 years. We met in college, fell in love over late-night philosophy discussions and terrible dorm coffee, got married young, built a life together. She was my best friend, my partner, my everything. Or so I believed. That Tuesday afternoon, I was looking for her car keys because mine had died and I needed to pick up groceries. Her purse was on the kitchen counter, unzipped. I reached in, felt around past the usual chaos of receipts and lip gloss, and my fingers closed around something cold and metallic. I pulled it out. A gold wedding band. Thick, masculine, engraved on the inside with initials I didn't recognize. JM to CR forever. My heart stopped. For a moment, I just stood there, holding this stranger's ring, trying to make sense of it. Why would Melissa have someone's wedding ring in her purse? My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe she found it. Maybe she was holding it for a friend. But something deep in my gut whispered a darker truth, something I didn't want to acknowledge. I put the ring back exactly where I found it. My hands were shaking. That night, Melissa came home late from work like she had been doing for months. She kissed my cheek, said she was exhausted, and headed straight for the shower. I sat on our bed, listening to the water run, and felt like a stranger in my own life. Should I confront her? Should I wait? I decided to watch, to pay attention, to become a detective in my own marriage. Over the next week, I noticed everything. The way she angled her phone away from me when texting. The new perfume she claimed was a gift from a coworker. The late meetings that happened 3, sometimes 4 times a week. The distant look in her eyes when we made love, like she was somewhere else, with someone else. I checked her purse again. The ring was gone. My paranoia grew teeth. I started following her. I know how that sounds. I know what you're thinking. But when you suspect the person you love most is lying to you, rationality becomes a luxury you can't afford. Thursday evening, she said she had a work dinner. I watched her drive away, waited 10 minutes, then followed. She didn't go to any restaurant. She drove to a hotel on the outskirts of town, the kind of place with hourly rates and neon signs. My chest felt like it was being crushed. I parked 3 rows back and watched. 20 minutes later, a man walked up to the entrance. Tall, dark hair, expensive suit. He looked around nervously, then went inside. I sat there for 2 hours, my world disintegrating with every passing minute. When Melissa finally emerged, she wasn't alone. They stood in the parking lot, and he pulled her close, kissed her forehead. She laughed at something he said. That laugh, the one I thought was mine, I drove home in a fog, my mind screaming. I wanted to crash through that hotel door, wanted to destroy everything, but I just drove. When she came home that night, smelling of unfamiliar cologne masked by mouthwash, I pretended to be asleep. She slipped into bed beside me, and I felt her warmth. This person I didn't know anymore. The next morning, I decided to hire a private investigator. I needed proof, needed to know the full extent of the betrayal. The investigator was a woman named Sarah, mid-40s, efficient, emotionless. She took my money and told me she'd have answers within a week. 6 days later, she called me to her office. She slid a manila folder across her desk. Inside were photos. Melissa and the man entering hotels. Melissa and the man having coffee. Melissa and the man holding hands in a park where we used to walk our dog. But then Sarah showed me something else. Documents, financial records. My blood turned to ice. The man's name was Christopher Reed. He was married, had 2 kids. And here's the twist that shattered everything I thought I knew. Melissa wasn't having an affair with him. She was blackmailing him. 6 months ago, they had a brief relationship, a mistake during a business conference. When Christopher tried to end it, Melissa threatened to tell his wife to destroy his family unless he paid her. The wedding ring? She'd taken it from him as collateral, as proof, as leverage. The late nights weren't romantic rendezvous. They were collections, pickups, extortion meetings. My wife wasn't just unfaithful, she was a criminal. I sat in that office, staring at the evidence, and felt something break inside me that I knew would never heal. Who was this woman I married? When did she become capable of this? Sarah watched me with those professional, detached eyes and asked what I wanted to do. I didn't know. I drove around for hours, the folder on the passenger seat like a bomb. I thought about confronting her, about calling the police, about just disappearing. When I finally came home, Melissa was in the kitchen making dinner, humming to herself. She smiled when she saw me, that beautiful smile I fell in love with years ago. And I realized I was looking at a stranger wearing my wife's face. I put the folder on the counter between us. Her smile died. For a long moment, we just stared at each other across the wreckage of our marriage. Then she did something I didn't expect. She didn't deny it, didn't cry, didn't apologize. She just said, quietly, that she did it for us, for our future, for the money we needed. She said Christopher deserved it because he was the one who cheated on his wife first. She said I would understand if I loved her, but I didn't understand. I couldn't. The woman I loved would never do this. Maybe she never existed at all. Maybe I'd been married to an illusion, a performance, a carefully constructed lie. I moved out that night. Christopher's wife found out everything when I anonymously sent her copies of the evidence. His marriage ended. Mine was already dead. Melissa was arrested 3 weeks later. I testified, watched her led away in handcuffs, and felt nothing. Just emptiness, where love used to live. Now I live alone in a small apartment, trying to rebuild a self I'm not sure I recognize anymore. Sometimes I wonder if I ever really knew her, or if I just loved the idea of who I wanted her to be. They say betrayal kills trust, but what they don't tell you is that it kills something deeper. It kills your ability to trust yourself, your own judgment, your own heart. Because if you could be that wrong about someone you shared your life with, how can you ever trust your own perception of reality again? That's the real horror. Not that she betrayed me, but that I never saw it coming. And now I see betrayal everywhere, in everyone, including the stranger staring back at me from the mirror every morning, wondering how he could have been so blind.